I bought this mystery tool as part of a job lot on eBay. I had no idea what it was, but I thought it looked interesting and I bet you we can make it look good again. After a lot of searching on the internet provided me with nothing, I sent a photograph to an antique tools dealer. They very kindly told me what it was and what it was used for. If you think you've got an idea what it is, why not write it in the comments below? At the very least, why not write it on a piece of paper, and then you'll have the satisfaction of knowing if you were right at the end of the video. Time to strip it down and start the restoration. It's quite clearly some kind of clamping tool, but what on earth does it clamp onto? We're going to address the handle first. The handle would originally have been made on a lathe to give it its perfectly circular shape. We need to maintain this when we refinish it ourselves, so first of all we're going to make it into a kebab. The reason for doing this is that we can then reattach it to a lathe as it was originally made. This gives us the opportunity to spin it in a circular fashion so that we don't get any flat spots. Have you had any ideas about what the item might be used for? Is it for pulling the corks out of champagne bottles? We don't need the whole of the lathe for this operation, so we're just using the business end. Normally it would sit on two 4-foot rails called the bed. Now we're going to place it in the chuck so we can spin it up. As with all our restorations, we're going to start with our least invasive process first. We can always get more aggressive as it goes on, but methylated spirit is a good place to start. We're going to apply the methylated spirit with Scotch-Brite to start with. Not a massive amount of joy with the Scotch-Brite, so it's time to try a bit of wire wool. The wire wool has certainly helped to get rid of some of those ingrained years of grime, but 400 grit wet and dry is required to give the surface a good finish. A final clean down with the methylated spirits and wire wool, and then we're done. Now that it's clean, we're going to use some friction polish. The heat generated by the rag dries the polish and brings the item to a beautiful shine. Any more ideas what you think it might be? Do you think it could be used for horse dentistry? Next we need to polish the brass ferrule. For this we're going to use the Axminster AC150BB buffing machine. Links in the description below. Now we're going to address the jaws. They're quite rusty and a lot of the previous plating has come away. We're going to use some brick acid, which is hydrochloric acid or muriatic acid, to remove the rust and plating. You must always do this in a well ventilated area and wearing the correct protective equipment. Here the item has been left in the acid for about an hour. It is being washed off in water with sodium bicarbonate to neutralise the acid. Now it's time for the other end. After another hour in the pickle, it's time to polish it on the buffing machine. The beauty of the narrow mops on the AC150BB mean that we can get into all the awkward nooks and crannies on this particular tool. And now an insight into the true human cost of making these videos. Well, here we are. A couple of aspirins later, this is probably as good as it's going to get. We're going to nickel plate this item, so the first thing we need to do is degrease it thoroughly with brake cleaner. Next, because there's still a certain amount of pitting and rust showing, we're going to place it back in the hydrochloric acid for a few minutes. Next, into the Plater's pickle solution, which again is 50% water, 50% hydrochloric acid. Finally into some fresh water for a wash off, and now it's ready for plating. The part being plated is now placed into the nickel rich solution. It is wired to the negative power source and becomes a cathode which attracts the positive nickel ions. If you're interested in learning about the process of plating, we have a couple of dedicated videos on our channel. The jaws were left in solution for about an hour and came out with a nice coating of nickel. Time to turn it upside down and plate the other half. After another hour, everything's taken out and cleaned off. Now it's time to give it a final polish before we put it all back together again. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for watching our videos. I do hope you like them. If you do, please consider pushing the thumbs up button and subscribing. It helps to grow the channel and give more people the opportunity to watch them. Oh, and of course you want to know what the item's used for. Imagine you have a chandelier, like you do, and your hands are too big to get into the shade. This is where our mystery tool comes in. You're going to need something to help you unscrew them when it's time for cleaning.